Well, joining me now is Alp Mehmet, the chairman of Migration Watch, and the former Labour advisor, Scarlett Maguire. Welcome to you both. Alp, let's go first. It's always a joy to fact-check Tony Blair and to prove him completely and utterly wrong. Don't you think it's a tad rich for Tony Blair to be back from the dead, as it were, and advising Keir Starmer on immigration to keep the populace out when his own record was dismal?
Look, I think that what Tony Blair was actually saying, Keir, get a grip, because if you don't, what happened to Rishi Sunak last week is going to happen to you in 5 years' time. And he's absolutely right. He's not completely right when he says that it was all a good thing, high migration, because consistently there was research after research, and there has been research after research between 1995 and 2011. Migration overall was a net cost to the Exchequer of £118 billion. That was University College London that came up with that figure. The problem was that it all got totally out of control, and it was being encouraged. Immigration, low-skilled migration in particular, was being encouraged at a time when it needn't have been.
Scarlett Maguire, Tony Blair is right on one thing, though, isn't he? And that's if the Conservative Party, if the Labour Party, if all of Parliament doesn't get a grip on this, then Nigel Farage, OK, there are only five, the infamous five, but they were making a big noise on this. And Blair's right. If Keir Starmer doesn't get a grip on this, it will allow, surely, the same mistakes to happen again, and that will allow the Reform Party, perhaps, to gain a bigger foothold moving forward.
Yeah, but, I mean, what Tony Blair was quite clear about is that the Reform Party exploits it, right? And he actually believes that immigration is quite a good thing, as he made clear, that actually the reason, I mean, we're talking about legal immigration, OK? We're talking about people who are asked to come here.
Well, we're talking about both today.
Well, I mean, I think we need to talk about the boats and the refugees, but actually I think it's really, really important that these people have been given jobs because they have the skills. And one of the reasons is that we are not skilling people. And Keir has said right from the beginning, actually, that what we need to do is we need to upskill the British labour force. So this is from doctors, where we have far too many. We go abroad and we take trained doctors from third world countries and bring them out here, which is wrong.
What's that got to do with controlling immigration coming in? Separate issue, an important one. Upskilling British workers. But if you get a huge glut of unskilled workers, that was Tony Blair's legacy, especially when the AO countries came in 2004.
Martin, I'm talking about now. Now you have to have a visa to come in. What I'm saying is that now the people who are coming in are basically skilled workers. And what we need to do is we need to have far more skilled British people. And we need to... It is utterly wrong, and it is a failure that we have so many people who are as NEETs, not in employment, education or training, that actually these people are being left on the scrap heap. They're quite young, and actually we need to train them, and then we wouldn't be crying out for foreign doctors, foreign nurses. That's what we're talking about.
Mehmet, is that true?
Well, how can I disagree with Scarlett? She's always right. But I think slightly misses the point, though, because the people who are coming here, and I blame the Tories for this, they come in, the skill levels that were required of them, the new points-based system actually lowered the skill levels, lowered the earnings thresholds, and effectively handed over responsibility for recruitment to employers. That, I'm afraid, is a recipe for disaster. Millions of people over the next 5 to 10 years will come in if these rules remain as they are. And immigration of 750,000 net a year, it doesn't matter how many good doctors you get and how many good engineers and class acts you get in. The fact is that at that sort of level, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster for all of us. And those who say, but immigration, it adds to GDP, it grows the economy. Yes, but what it doesn't do is add to the wealth of individuals, the GDP per head. That's why we've got to get a grip.
But what I'm saying is that we need to train these people. You say it doesn't matter how many engineers.
I agree.
I'm saying let's
Scarlett.
train the engineers.
Yes.
Let's train the doctors.
Absolutely.
I've spent a lot of time in hospitals over the last 2 years. I have barely seen a British doctor or nurse, right? It is absolutely...
But why, Scarlett?
Because we're not...
they're cheaper and because population is growing to such an extent and at such a speed that we need to draft people in. And a lot of our doctors are, in fact, taking flight and going to places where conditions are better and pay is better. So I think it's appalling that we're actually bringing people in from countries that need them a great deal more than we do.
And have spent money training them. And so we need better, we need far more. We need to train people better. I mean, that's what we need to do, is let's not blame the people who come over. We should be very grateful that they're coming over. Now, the next thing is we're doing the top people. Let's look at...
Scarlett, I haven't blamed
No, I know
anyone.
you haven't.
I'm a migrant.
I know you haven't. But let's
you're not addressing also.
Let's look at the caring profession.
Well, if I may interject,
100,000.
It's all fair to say let's train British people to be competitive. What about where do all these people live? Where do they all go to school? Where do they get a doctor's appointment? The strain they place on public services at Alp Mehmet, it's not just a simple case of they come here and they work. They need to be taken care of by the system too, the NHS, schools, dentists, roads, everything.
And those who come in and earn levels of pay that actually fall well below the point at which they start contributing. There's a hell of a lot, and all the care workers that come in, you know, where are they going to live?
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do
about care? What are we going to do about care workers? We have 100,000.
Pay them more.
Well, great.
Pay them more.
Wonderful. We've just had a government
their conditions.
Great. I can't think of and train them better.
Labour Party used to stick up for that. Better pay for workers.
Yeah.
Now it's less pay for foreign workers.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying, Martin, please don't do this to me.
That's what happened. Until very recently, it was perfectly legal to pay 20% below the British market rate for NHS workers or care workers to come to Britain. That only got changed about 9 months ago.
Right. What I'm saying is that actually, while we have care, we need 100,000 care workers. Care workers are absolutely essential. They look after our old people. They look after our long-term sick.
They look after people like me.
They look after people like you, and we'll look after people like me very soon. And actually, you know, we can't, and they don't get. It would be great if they got paid more, right? Absolutely fantastic.
They'll also get old in time themselves. I mean, every immigrant that comes here also gets old. They will also be
Martin, let's not
later on. Let's magically not get old.
Let's not pick on immigrants. Let's try and say
facts.
that as long as there are really important jobs to be done in Britain that are not being done by the British, we have to have immigrants. That's all I'm saying. Let's not blame the immigrants for that. Let's not blame the immigrants for the fact that British people aren't very good at picking potatoes or picking fruit or all of that stuff.
How do you think we got by for millennia? Do you think our fruit just picked itself, or pixies came along in the night? British people used to do it. What changed, if you go to farms and speak to landowners, as I've done, is they had a huge glut of cheap overseas labour who were prepared to live in caravans a month at a time and earn pack wages, which is basically the minimum wage or below in the United Kingdom, and they were paying rent. The farmers wanted huge amounts of cheap labour.
I know,
British people weren't good at it.
We wanted cheap food. That was the other side of it, is we wanted cheap food, is that actually it's a very, very difficult deal to be done. We want care homes where we can afford to send our old people and where councils can afford to send old people. And that means wages, right? And we want food that we can afford to eat.
Look, let's just boil it down to what mass immigration means. We're at the moment nearly 700,000, and I think it's probably more than that, but let's keep to 700,000 net migration. If it falls to 600,000, and it consistently stays there, by the time we get to the end of the 2040s, there'll be 20 million more people added to our population. 20 million. That's what the problem is, not whether or not we can pay enough for people to look after the old and the needy.
So what's your solution?
My solution is actually to, first and foremost, reduce immigration. You can reduce it. The May Home Office actually showed it how it could be done. They put a cap on skilled workers, and that worked extremely well. We can put a cap on other areas as well. What we must do is reduce immigration and reduce it quickly.